Hi, it's about 10:20 right now here in New England. Fire weather watch. Briefly good and to the point here. 10 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds tomorrow. Winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. So watch out. Don't be burning anything tomorrow because guess what? Could cause some fires. Taking a brief check on the radar. There is actually some ocean effect snows that are getting its act together here on the Cape, and that's being indicated right here. Other than that, nothing much is going on other than clear conditions. But if you live on the Cape, it's looking and feeling like winter. Yes. If you live away from the Cape, it's just more so feeling like winter, not really looking like it. Now, as time moves its way forward, let's kind of briefly talk a little bit about what's going on tonight. Low to mid-20s. We could be even talking about some teens. I would say if you live along and north of the Pike, up in Weston, Mass, we'll be talking about we'll be talking 15 to 20 degrees tonight. If you live along and north of the Pike in Weston, Mass. If you live along and south of the Pike, everywhere you'll be talking about low to mid-20s, even a few upper 20s. And then, of course, working your way on closer to the coast, we'll be talking about mid to upper 20s. So most of the eastern half of the state will be talking about mid to upper 20s. If once you start working your way west of Worcester, you'll be starting to talk about cooler conditions tonight. Tomorrow, we see highs reaching fairly chilly max, low to mid-40s. Some of the coolest weather we've seen in some time here. Definitely no 80 degrees. Tomorrow night will be into the low to mid-20s. And then, of course, as time moves its way onward, we do see a little bit of a warm-up. This warm-up will really be eyeballed for Saturday, or it will be actually eyeballed for Monday. And I know on my website it says we could be potentially talking about a snowstorm the 2nd to the 4th. That's going to be pushed up a little bit, and I'll explain that in a second. But there could be some interesting weather that comes here for the midweek. One of the models, that's not us, I'll move away from these couple things. That was for Maine. This is the GFS model for our region. If you notice, codons right now are being indicated for much of our area. Generally for western and northwestern regions of southern New England are generally indicating a codon. Is the GFS right? They could be. Okay, they could be. I would not rule it out at this moment in time, but you can see an inch to a couple inches of snows is being indicated by this up closer to the north. And take my word for it, once you start working your way into central portions of Maine, a good 4 to 6 inches is not going to be ruled out of the question at this moment in time. But you can generally see once you work your way really east of Hampden and Hampshire and Franklin counties, you kind of get away from the potentials of snows. I would say along Route 2, you have a good chance of snow, and then also along the Mass Pike up to, I would say, Warren. I would say this region, if there were to be codons, they would fill up in this region as well. However, that's besides the point because the NAM is saying nothing for us. So that kind of gives me the impression that the codons will be very patchy. Be only in a few patchy locations. So we'll have to see what happens for that. But there could be some snow, so just keep that in mind. It could make things a little slick. So if there is a codon when you wake up sometime mid to late week, be careful. I would say anywhere between Wednesday and Friday we have that potential chance. So yeah, I'm going to just jump to the chase here and say that the warm stuff will be eyeballed for next Monday. Low 60s. This will be the heat of the most recent warm-up. This will be the absolute highest we get to. Upper 50s, lower 60s. This will be the height of the heat that we'll be seeing for April. I would say that this will be the absolute warmest we will be getting for quite some time, because I will show you the reason why I am thinking this. Snowstorm is being pushed up a tad. That's for a couple of specific reasons. The AO yesterday, which is the Arctic Oscillation, was originally not indicating this peak. However, that peak is this Saturday when we get those 60s. Alright, if you look generally after this mark, if you look at all of this in here, what's going on with most of those lines? They're all going down. Okay, you can generally see most of them are going way down. That means cold air is going to be coming in here for New England, because the AO is essentially what's going on, how the cold and warm air will be transferring to us here in New England. Alright, so that generally means cooler weather is going to be eventually coming in to tap here, and I would say sometime around the 8th. Anywhere between the 6th to the 8th right now looks to be a good time period when this stuff will start going below this dotted line. You want to see stuff below this dotted line. When you see stuff below that, it indicates some pretty cool weather. Last time that happened was in February, and if you remember back in February, we had a pretty big cold snap. Alright, but overall, you can see much of the season has been above this dotted line, which indicates some very warm conditions. And actually, you can see the most recent warm-up last week, we were well above that dotted line. So that's what's been going on over the past several weeks. We're going to be kind of going on, again, another upswing. Not as high as last week, but you can see it will be getting high, but then we start going down from there. Okay. Now, that's one of the things I look at, and that's indicating the temperature. But what about the storminess? Oh, yeah. This is plummeting south. It's plummeting south, and that's a major indicator for storms here in New England. When that goes negative, we can almost guarantee it that there will be some rain. We will get a very rainy April. However, once that AO drops, and around the same time the AO drops, we see the NAO, which is the North Atlantic Oscillation, that drops well below the dotted line. What does that mean? Cold and stormy. What does cold and stormy essentially equal? Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Cold and stormy usually equals snow into somewhere in New England. So this is essentially a major indicator to me. It's the AO will be positive. Okay, the AO will be positive this upcoming weekend into early parts of next week. Okay, which will indicate a warming trend. However, after that warming trend, we go colder. So I do want to kind of fix things up here. I know some people have been saying, well, it's going to be 60 next week. Well, the models did change today. And I will be updating things as time moves its way onward. But I do see some cooler weather. I do see a stormier pattern. Nevertheless, it's going to get rainy. I can almost guarantee you that we will be tracking a lot of rain this upcoming month. We'll be probably talking about some pretty windy rainstorms at the very least. Could potentially be talking about a good snowstorm. And the good period right now that looks to be where a snowstorm is possible is between the 5th and the 8th to potentially the 15th. So I'm saying anywhere between the 5th and the 15th looks to be a good time period for a snowstorm. Keep that in mind. And with that being said, we're going to kind of switch gears here and kind of just briefly show you the models, show you what they're saying. This is the most recent model that came out this evening. This is kind of briefly stating to you what I am thinking. This is a little storm that's indicated for the weekend, maybe given a good coat, and we'll have to see what happens with that. If this storm can strengthen, if it deepens, if it does something, which was being indicated yesterday, and it could happen again tomorrow. May not happen the day after. It may not even happen for a few days. It may not even happen at all. But if this storm deepens, it gets its act together and can get really strong, could be talking about a good snowstorm. So it's being indicated right here. I will even highlight it out for you. That is the storm that could give us some snow for this upcoming weekend or the beginning of next week. How it forms, how strong it develops, things like that are going to need to be watched over the next several days. You can see that kind of moves out, and then you can see there's that warm-up I'm talking about for the weekend into next week, and then you can see we talk about a trough coming in here for the end of the period with maybe a little bit of a rainstorm, and then things really cool off towards the end of the period. So that's what's going on here. I will continue to monitor and track things for you, but thank you very much, everyone, and of course, continue checking back for updates, and I will be back tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Monday, everyone.